Today, I want to talk about billing and collections. It's not really a topic I like to talk about. However, it's a pretty important one for us to sustain our businesses. There's three main areas that I want you to focus on for billing and collections. The first is actually billing the insurance company, right? I'm a therapist and we always say, how do I know how to do that effectively? Well, the important thing is that you have to do it ethically, maximally, correctly, and timely. So of course, we're only going to want to bill for what we do, and that's how we want to train our staff up. And that's the ethics. We'll always keep ethics in. But we want to bill maximally. We want to look at every skill and technique that we provide and make sure that we're able to bill in a way that we can get maximum dollars back. It's really expensive to train up our therapists and to keep them trained up, right? And always be expanding the skill base that they have so that they can better help our patients. We have to make sure that we can find coding that matches that skill level and allows us to get reimbursed effectively. Truly, just get the AMA coding books, look through them at the therapy codes, and you'll find there's only a handful of codes that we would typically use. Learn how to use each one of those. You can Google it. It's not that difficult. There are some courses out there, but it's not that difficult because there's not a lot of codes that we use. And then learn how to do those modifiers. You know, the 59 modifier, you've got to learn how to use all those different modifiers so that you're actually getting paid and not getting denials for additional codes that you're billing. You want to make sure that you bill out timely for all your visits. So people say, I heard you should have a quota for what your billed out is. I highly recommend that you are able to measure what you bill out and what you collect. I learned how to do this through the Effective Reimbursement Program with Survival Strategies. They have amazing programs that teach therapists how to actually run their business, which is something I didn't know how to do. And when you learn how, running your business becomes quite easy. It actually becomes fun, believe it or not. It removes the stress when you know how. So you want to know how to bill and set quotas for your build out. What you need to do is figure out what your maximum billing is and then what your average maximum billing is, right? So you look at what you're already billing, you improve it as much as you can, and then you come up with what is your average billed out per visit. And then when you set your quotas for the visits that you want to hit this week, what's the maximum number of visits that your team can truly push for and actually see? Then you take that average billed out per visit, multiply it times your visits seen, and that would be the quota that you're going after for your build out that week. So you have to hit those visits in order for you to hit your build out quota, and you have to bill out maximally in order for you to hit that build out quota. So you can break that down. You can make checklists. How many evaluations do we need to get in per week? How many reevals do we need to get in per week? Are there certain codes that pay higher in your state that you want to go after those codes and have a quota for those codes as well? You need to be sure that you have control over your build out, but you need to understand your coding and you need to understand your team and what you can motivate them to do. And that'll help you with your build out and your quota for build out. Now, I don't think that I'm going to teach you in this short little video about how to do build out, but I learned it through the Effective Reimbursement Program. So if you want control over your build out and collections, you too have to seek out and educate yourself at a higher level, just like we did when we went to college. And you have to get really trained up on how to be an owner. And part of being an owner is controlling your build out. Now let's talk about the second thing. Build outs first. The second thing is collections. So how are we going to actually collect on what we bill out? Well, look, I'm assuming that you build out ethically, maximally, correctly, and timely. And you hit that quota. I'm assuming that because I know you're going to work hard to make that happen. And now you're going to look at your collections. Well, the important thing for collections is to know what your build out is. And then you should know, what is my average collection based on my build out, right? What % of your build out do you usually collect? And you want a high number here, but a high number means you want to make sure that you're collecting most of what you build out, right? But I have a lot of write-offs. My write-offs will be different than your write-offs. So I'm not necessarily going to share specific numbers, but you'll come up with an average of what you're going to end up writing off. and you'll know what is your percentage, your collections divided by your billed out. What percent do you typically collect on a visit? And you need to go after that. And that helps you to set a quota for your collections. Usually you'll set that quota about 4 weeks after you bill out. Now, of course, we know that some of our insurance companies pay within 2 weeks, some pay within 30 days, 4 weeks. But you need to know what your contract says, because most of your contracts will say that you will be paid within 30 days. And you need to hold insurance companies to that contracted agreement. You need to train up your team on how to reach out consistently and timely based on your contracts in order to follow up with your claims. Again, you can learn this in the Effective Reimbursement Program. They have a wonderful method of making sure that you reach out consistently and timely in order to collect on your claims, cheering you on to set that collections quota and actually reach it. But you have to make it unacceptable to not reach your quotas. Go after it. You can do it. And lastly, and the third thing of our billing and collections is the patient portion. You have to make sure that you collect at the time of visit. Make that a policy in your company to collect copays, coinsurances, and deductible balances at the time of your patient's visits. It will keep their balances low, and that's easier to handle for every family, for every patient that comes in your door. So I want you to take a look at what your collections are per day and per week and have your team go after 100% of those patient collections. If you can warn a patient before they come in so they're ready for that balance, that makes collecting it much easier. If you're afraid of a cancel, if you tell them, don't be afraid of a cancel. You don't want them to come in if they can't afford the appointment. So the 3 ways that you can be successful in maximizing your income is to bill timely, ethically, maximally, and consistently. Make sure you know how to collect the same way, and make sure you collect not only insurance balances from insurance, but the patient balances from the patient. Cheering you on to great success and getting in that income so you can have a successful, profitable business.